Hey everybody, welcome back to Next Play Records. Today's video is another entry into the Blue Note 1500 project where we're going through every title released in Blue Note 1500 series. And I've had the pleasure to do a few of these, and I'm very honored to be picked out of all the other people that have been doing these videos that know way more and have been experiencing jazz a lot longer than me, to be able to do this iconic title that I'm doing today. I really appreciate them putting it in my hands. Special thanks to Steven at In the Bass Clef, who started this project and has asked me a few times to do other ones. Happy to do this one for you, buddy. And again, go to YouTube's search, look up In the Bass Clef, Steven. If you don't already follow him, follow him. Great vinyl collector, knows a lot about jazz, and just easy to watch him and learn about music. So today I have Blue Note 1595, getting towards the end of the project. So this is a huge title, Cannonball Adderley with Miles Davis, Blue Note 1595, Something Else. And this was recorded March of 1958, and Cannonball and Miles had worked together in the past a good bit, and would after this. Most notably, Cannonball with Miles on Miles Davis's Milestones album, and as well as Kinda Blue, where they were so great together. And Miles did Cannonball a favor and joined him as a sideman on this, but also had his hand in the lead on this record. I don't really buy into the camp that just automatically calls this a Miles Davis record. Yes, he did pick the songs, and the title track is composed by Miles Davis. And I'm sure, just knowing his personality, he's not somebody that can really take a back seat. So yes, he helped big time, but if he did lead at all, he did it to showcase Cannonball. And I think Cannonball stands out on this record more than Miles Davis. I think this is one of the best performances by him in his career, even on top of as well as he did on Kinda Blue. So again, 1958 release, one of the biggest titles in all of Blue Note's history, and very well deserved at the top of tons of jazz lists, as it is a soul jazz, just relaxing, keeps to the spirit of hard bop, but it's very, what's the word I want to look for? It's very laid back. I mean, we use that word too much, but it's almost it's captivating when it can be performed at such a high level and not bore you, even though it is laid back. But there are the mid-tempo songs like Love for Sale, but which starts it off with Autumn Leaves, which I believe is the best performance of that standard ever, and that credit goes to Cannonball Adderley. I mean, he's so good on that song. Autumn Leaves, Love for Sale on side one, and we have Something Else, written by Miles Davis, starting out side two. One for Daddy-O. That is a Nat Adderley. That's Cannonball's brother, a Nat Adderley tune. I believe it was written about a DJ in his area that he was trying to memorialize or something. And then Dancing in the Dark, which is one of the greatest romantic ballads ever created on a jazz album, Dancing in the Dark, and Cannonball Adderley is ridiculous on it. But let's talk about the lineup on this. And I think it's full of, on purpose, Miles Davis picked the songs, but I think Cannonball had the hand in picking his band. When Miles agreed to be his sideman, he took Hank Jones, who Miles Davis, as well as Cannonball, thought the world of. Hank Jones on the piano, Sam Jones, not related to Hank Jones, Sam Jones on the bass, and Art Blakey on the drums. And this is Art Blakey's best sideman performance, and this is in the midst of him taking over the lead of the Jazz Messengers from Horace Silver. So just a big time lineup of veterans and guys who took a back seat to push Cannonball Adderley in front to show off his talent. So Something Else is a well-known song on here, but my favorites, again, Autumn Leaves, is unbelievable, and the ballad Dancing in the Dark. And then obviously the dialogue you get between Cannonball Adderley and Miles Davis on all these songs is terrific and a one-of-a-kind session. Miles Davis performs courtesy of Columbia Records, as he's in the midst of that contract when he came over here, and Hank Jones courtesy of Capitol Records. He was leading his own little trios, and I have a couple of those also from Savoy where he was starting his career. I mean, he's probably at the time the oldest of the performers and the most experienced of the performers, and he does a great job in his solos. They're beautiful. But one thing to point out is Sam Jones and Art Blakey do a tremendous job of laying down a very harmonic and dense rhythm section that gives Hank Jones and Miles Davis and Cannonball Adderley the opportunity to solo and bounce back and forth from each other to create that feel that you don't get on a whole lot of standard hard bop. So a very special title in the Blue Note collection for good reason. Cannonball Adderley's only release for Blue Note. Miles Davis wasn't on a ton of Blue Note, so we know that that's part of the reason this is such a big title, but the songs obviously and the performance is the number one reason. Another reason I think is that Miles Davis as a sideman is kind of adds to the mystique and the people who really believe that Miles Davis was the leader. It just kind of, it makes it cool also. This is one of the coolest records in the hard bop era. It probably can be a little too laid back for some people that like the harder hard bop, but to love it for what it is and to really sit down and enjoy every single song, it's what makes it special. One more thing I wanted to point out is that I have the classic vinyl that just came out, and it sounds terrific. I've had other releases of this, but when that came out, I didn't have a OG or a early reissue. So when that classic vinyl series from Blue Note came out, I knew it was going to be my copy, and I gave away another copy that I had to somebody that was just getting into jazz. So it's about the music, so they liked it. A couple of other things I wanted to point out. I have some notes on it I didn't want to forget. I believe that Cannonball is the standout in this session, even though Miles had his hand in the lead. And I think I've alluded to that. And that's the reason I don't buy into that this is a Miles Davis album. I always will say it's a Cannonball Adderley album. And again, Autumn Leaves is a number one version of that jazz classic. And it's on this record, obviously. And again, another thing I love about it is the way that Miles and Cannonball, you know, their dialogue between instruments on here is just, you don't find it on a whole lot of other albums except maybe Kinda Blue. That's an iconic take on that as well with those two highly skilled players. And the last thing I think was very cool is that at the very end of the last song, Dancing in the Dark, you can hear Miles Davis, and he says, what's his exact quote? He says, yes, you can hear Miles say, "Is that what you wanted, Alfred?" And I think we've all recognized that at the end of Dancing in the Dark. Is that what you want, Alfred? Is that what you wanted, Alfred? So it's almost like Alfred Lion, the producer of this album, and Rudy Van Gelder was the, he recorded and mastered, but Alfred Lion being the producer, Miles Davis was asking him, "Is that what you wanted?" Because they knew they had done something very, very special. So again, thank y'all for tuning in. I'm so happy to be able to do this. Blue Note 1595, Something Else, Cannonball Adderley, Miles Davis, iconic release. And let me know what you think about this record. Some people may believe it's overrated because it is highly talked about and it's on every list. And I believe, even if you're not a huge jazz fan, that if you're going to have a record collection, you need to have albums like this to round out your collection in the right way. You know, Something Else, Kinda Blue, anything from Hank Mobley and Lee Morgan, but also, you know, your John Coltrane, big titles like Love Supreme, but Blue Train. But I think Something Else is one of those records that goes beyond Blue Note, goes beyond jazz, and is just iconic. So thank you for tuning in. I'll post some more videos here coming up apart from this series, but thanks again, In the Bass Clef, Stephen, for doing this project. We're getting close to the end. I look forward to seeing it round out and finish up. So until next time, keep spinning that next play.